Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to My First Business, the podcast. I'm your host, Naeem Pervez, and I'm a relatively new and sometimes clueless business owner and wanted to talk to other entrepreneurs to help guide me and inspire me and help me understand the best way to grow my own business. Now, I know you may be in the same boat. You might want to learn about what mistakes to avoid, how to overcome common challenges, how to identify opportunities, and that's why I created this show for you, my dear audience. So if you're thinking of going out on your own or running a new business or an old one, I don't care. I'm not an ageist. I bring on guests from all sorts of industries and they're full of wisdom that you'll chew right up. And each episode is going to be like a conversation with a mentor that you never had. My guest today is Ziad Tariq. Ziad is an ambitious entrepreneur with a strong work ethic. He's dabbled in multiple businesses in different fields like real estate, marketing, e-commerce, you name it. As a young boy, he helped his father's optical business after class every day, where he learned the ins and the outs of the field. Shortly after graduating, he started working in a Dubai bank to sharpen his finance and customer service skills while simultaneously helping with his father's optical business. He then later co-founded bonavenue.com in 2011, selling designer clothing brands and led the marketing for the company. 2015, he opened an optical store called Optoline Optics, which still stands today, selling eyewear and performing RTA eye tests. And in 2019, he co-founded adasat.com. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Adasat?
So you got with an Arabic accent?
Adasat.
Yeah.
Adasat.com.
Adasat.com.
And that's ADASAT.com.
The Ain, Adasat.
Adasat.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah.
That's good, man. Thanks for coming on. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Naeem. Thanks for having me.
Let's get started. I want to talk to you first about child labor.
What?
I'm joking. I'm currently joking. I want to talk about that time that you actually were helping your dad out in school with his business.
Yeah.
And maybe you can jog your memory a little bit. I want to find out a few things from that time. And if you can paint a picture for us of a few key things, like what do you remember being the most fun part as a child helping with your dad's business?
See, I remember I was about 13 and I would go there almost every day during my summer holidays. And he'd take me there, teach me all about customer service, more about the products that we sell, and the fun part. You want to know the fun part?
Tell me.
My wife's here, but okay. So the fun part was sometimes girls would come in looking for eyeglasses with their parents. And I was like, shit, I need to do something here because now that I'm here, I learn about work. But I'm kind of wasting my time because I'm not making friends. So I came up with a book. This was when I was 13, okay? Came up with a book and I said, all the customers need to register their email IDs. So I made the girls register their email IDs. I mean, that's the only way I could make friends because my dad was like, no, you got to work. It's your summer vacation. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So work every day. So I was like, and then I'll go MSN, whatever.
Yeah.
Add them.
ICQ. MIRC.
Yeah.
What? Okay. And what year was this?
God, no. I was 13. So I'm 35 right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're the same age. So
yeah.
Around 2001.
Probably.
Ish.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is so smart because like who needs to get paid when you get paid in email addresses, right? Apart from that particular, I think that's very entrepreneurial actually. It's like growing your email subscriber list. Yeah, database. Yeah. Potential customers, prospects, right? But what do you think around that time? Like building a database is a good one, but in terms of lessons, maybe weren't apparent around that time, but do you think there are some lessons around that age when you were helping your dad out, some of the lessons that have translated into other businesses as well?
Yeah.
Anything come to mind?
Negotiation skills.
Really?
For sure. With my dad, like he's very tough in that way. And he makes sure that whatever price he discusses or pushed through, he gets that. And that's what he taught me. Like, you always need to have the upper hand in negotiations. So that's what I learned actually from him.
Do you
Very
have
valuable lesson.
any tips from your dad on good negotiation?
He's very hard-headed. That's what he makes me do. He's like, you always have to like demand more and be very aggressive. So I think it's the Arab way as well of doing things here.
Yeah.
And that's what we do now.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of our suppliers and stuff, that's what we do.
Right. So whether it's negotiating with a customer or a supplier.
No, not a customer,
Yeah.
suppliers.
Suppliers, mostly
Of
with
course,
suppliers.
with customers, no. I can't be the front person, the front man with the customers. Of course, you have your customer service team and stuff, and that's what he had. He had a salesperson, but when it comes to suppliers, when it comes to paying your rent, all that logistics always have the upper hand with negotiations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read this book. It's called Never Split the Difference. Have you heard about it? It's written by this former FBI hostage negotiator.
Nice.
Who now teaches those skills
Wow.
into the business world and personal life too. Like if you want to negotiate your rent with your landlord, how to do it.
Yeah.
And there's like some really aggressive things in there that like even the tone of voice that you use, like you use this radio voice when you want to have a serious talk with someone versus being very happy, uppity, and that reduces your chance of being taken seriously and stuff like that. Yeah. I think you'll enjoy like that book as well because it's maybe your dad will enjoy it a lot
For
too.
sure. What's it called?
Never Split the Difference. I'll leave it in the show notes for you guys.
Did they have a movie about it?
Oh, you don't read books. You want to watch a video about it? I'll send you a video summary that I actually made of the book. How about that?
For sure.
You can watch a video.
Yeah, because my dad loves watching movies, so I was like, I'm going to make him watch.
Okay, cool. Do you remember doing any side hustles outside of your dad's business in your teenage years? And I ask this because like most of the people that have come on, I've noticed a trend that there is always some sort of dabbling going on, whether it came to fruition or not.
See, my side hustle, so I was really young back then, and the only things you could do as a side hustle, so you should know as well, in Dubai, if you remember, we weren't allowed to have part-time jobs. You remember? Like it was like the gray line that you don't know if you could be a freelancer or not. Companies were scared to give you those promotion jobs and stuff. So I used to sell it's illegal, bro, but I used to sell pirated videos, movies in school.
I'm gasping. I'll tell you why I'm gasping, but tell me about this.
Yeah, so I used to sell pirated movies in school. So there used to be a lot of those guys in the streets selling those movies, and I used to buy them, copy them, and I used to sell it to all my classmates. So it was me and another friend of mine who we still do business till today. And people, you know what? Our old friends, they're like, you two have always been doing something fishy and you still do something fishy till now.
Well, that reputation doesn't go away.
No.
I was gasping and smiling because that literally was the first thing that I did to make my own money too, but a bit differently.
Okay.
So you and I were around the time where we saw the switch from 56K modems to DSL,
Yes.
which is like dedicated line and much faster. So I was like one of the first people in my class to get that.
Yeah.
And we had a DVD burner at home too. So there is this show. It's very popular. I mean, it's in New York. There's 3 guys, 3 girls in an apartment. I don't know if you know about it, but
That 70s show?
no, there's Ross and Rachel in it. I don't know which show it is. I have no idea, but did the illegal thing.
Okay.
Downloaded seasons after seasons after seasons and then went to class. It was pure arbitrage because my dad paid for the DSL.
Okay.
He paid for the CDs and I went into class and sold those things because same thing, right? Like there's no opportunities for kids here or were back there. I don't know if it's changed now. To actually go out and because you had like labor from all over the world doing the jobs. Like when I moved to Canada, I could be a McDonald's cashier at the age of 14.
Yes.
Without it counting like derogatory or anything bad. But you don't get the same opportunities here at all, right? So I'm glad you did what you had to do to like.
I mean, it's good that Dubai is changed now and they understand that teenagers would want to have some part-time jobs here, especially during summertime. Like back then, even in my dad's store, if I would stand behind the counter, sometimes my dad would be like, "Hey, don't stand there too much. Like maybe after 10 minutes, come out and then go back in because it's illegal." You know, like it was too strict back then.
It was.
Yeah. So I'm surprised, and I'm happy that Dubai has changed in that way.
Yeah. I'm not even sure why that was a rule to begin with in the first place. I don't know what the reasons were, but I'm glad that it's like changing now. But I'm going to switch gears now.
Yep.
So I mentioned in the intro, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was Bond Avenue your first like actual business, would you count that as like your first proper business? Or what would you call your first proper business?
So Bond Avenue was, yes, that was my first business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, there's this bridge of entrepreneurship that everyone has to climb and go through, and we do lose a lot of people on this bridge, right?
Yeah.
We both probably know people that always have an idea to do something, but don't get to it. And it doesn't matter what kind of background you come from. You can come from a family business background or not. Can I ask you, like, you've already talked about and probably in other places why you wanted to do it. What were the reasons for not doing it? Because when you are starting something, you always intuitively do a pros and cons, or you might do it on paper, you can tell me. But what were you thinking was your worst case scenario? What was on your cons list? What were your considerations? What was the risk you were not willing to take? What was the don't do this kind of case, if you had any at that point?
Okay. So the time when I started Bond Avenue with my brother. And Bond Avenue, during that time, I was working in the bank as well. Recession hit us real bad. That was about 2008 when recession hit us. And after that, the market, it took a long time for it to like recover. So people were still losing jobs. Companies were shutting down. People couldn't afford their rent, paying mortgages on their cars. Cars were left out on the streets.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was a scary time. And honestly, I didn't really research much into doing Bond Avenue. My brother just told me that there's someone who works for Souk.com who could help us set up this company. Souk.com is Amazon right now. So there was a former Souk employee, and I was like, okay, and let's check it out. And everyone was talking about e-commerce and stuff. And have you ordered online? Do you know how the package comes? Do you know how many days it takes for a delivery? Like, it was so new. E-commerce was so new here. And personally, I wouldn't order online. I was like, no, I rather drive there and go check it out. We met with this lady, found out all about e-commerce and stuff, and all she ever did was, she's like, you invest in luxury products like designer bags, designer fashion, sunglasses. You get a website, upload it there, sales are gonna come through. And we were like, it's a no-brainer. And she was like showing us how much we can make and stuff. I'm telling you, no experience in e-commerce. And my brother is the type of guy, like, you tell him you can make this amount of money, all you have to do is that. He won't research, right? He'll be like, let's do this. So he told me, he's like, leave the bank, let's go, let's do this. I'm like, okay, fine. I left the bank, got this done. We invested into a lot of stocks. We got our stocks from France and the States, all luxury products. I'm telling you, that was a big investment. Sat in the office, everything's done. Website looked pretty good. Website's done, everything's done. And we're sitting, we're like, no freaking orders. Day after day after day. I'm just playing freaking, Yahoo Pool. Back then they had Yahoo Pool. I'm like playing that. I'm like, what am I supposed to do, And then I start questioning myself. I'm like, what the fuck did I do? I invested into this lady who told me that we could make so much sales, but I have no idea what she's doing. I did some investigations. I went to Souk.com, met with a couple of people. I went to Groupon, met with a couple of people. And I told them, I was like, listen, I've got a lot of luxury products with me, and would you like to put it on your website, or would you like to buy it off me? I was so surprised. Their sales were so good, and they were out of stock most of the time. And they're like, is it in Dubai? I was like, yeah. Send it over. The next day, sent a freaking container of luxury polos, Ralph Lauren, all that stuff.
Yeah.
They sent me a check after 15 days. And I was like, what? Okay. I went back. Do you want to order more? Yeah. And they sent me a list of a freaking big order. I'm talking about like 6 digits here, and that was Souk. Then came Groupon. Then came the other Marker VIP. All these e-commerce companies, they were more comfortable dealing with me because I'm a registered business in Dubai and I have access to those goods. Instead of them sending money abroad, waiting for it to come, I had access. So I was like, okay, so what? We changed our model, and I was like, you guys need to understand, this cannot be a B2C company anymore. It's gonna be a B2B company. So we let her go, and me and my brother were just handling this now. We just kept talking to all these e-commerce companies, and we kept supplying them. It was a very successful business, and the whole experience kind of like changed, like the whole, we were considering it to be a B2C, and it just became a B2B just because I went there and I started talking to people.
How long did it take you to get to that what the fuck moment? Like, it was a few days into no sales?
A week of no sales. Like, you sit in the office, you're doing nothing, jack shit. Like, literally jack. You left your 9 to 5 job. Okay, you make your monthly income there.
Yeah.
But you left everything, and you invested all your money. So of course, right? You must be like thinking, what am I doing right now?
Yeah. And at that time, what was the reaction of family members outside of your brother?
I didn't tell anyone.
So you didn't tell anyone you're quitting your job?
No. Of course, I told everyone I'm quitting my job, but I didn't tell anyone the situation of the company. Like, we did this, and we didn't really do much research because I didn't want to look like a fool, right?
Yeah.
And when things started picking up, then I told everyone, hey, we're actually a B2B company. So because we even had the website bonavenue.com, and we're like, yeah, that's for just show, like if you guys want to order
just
one
to look
piece.
legit.
Yeah, just to look legit.
Yeah. So you still had some stock kind of put away for that.
Yeah.
Or not even. It's just
no. We had
stock.
like one piece, but no one was ordering from there.
Yeah.
We had very, very few orders.
So when you were quitting your job or making that decision to quit, was there anyone in your way telling you, Ziad, don't do this? You need to build a solid career and get some skills before you.
To be honest, no, because the situation in the bank back then. So I was in the mortgages department, and Dubai Bank was owned by Sheikh Mohammed, and I believe he announced a couple of times that he might stop funding that bank because the bank was doing really bad after recession, and I really wanted to leave. So did all my other colleagues. Bro, imagine you're in the mortgage department. You're dealing with people who want to buy houses. So you're talking about 1 to 2 million dirham type of customers, right? The mortgage department had to close down because of the recession, and they were like, let's go into payroll. So I was like, what do we do in payroll? Let's go to labor camps and just make the laborers sign documents so they can get their salaries in. So make those accounts. So from mortgages, from wearing a nice suit, driving a nice car, I had to drive there to labor camps with my suit and everything, and I was like just making them sign, and I had to talk to them like sign. Some people didn't know how to sign. I'm like fingerprint,
yeah.
It's like you're working in immigration, man, or a labor department.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. All my other colleagues from the mortgage department were doing that, and they hated their lives.
Yeah.
I saw that, and I was like, this is not for me. I didn't go to university, I didn't go to schooling to do this. So I really wanted to get out.
Yeah.
And that was the option. There was nothing else for me. I was like, let me just do this. But coincidentally, that worked really well.
Let's talk about that in contrast with some of the other businesses that you start, right? So the genesis point, if I were to simply dumb it down, I think of it like, are you running towards something or are you running away from something? Mm-hmm. So it sounds like the first one was running away more than running towards something. Like the opportunity is like, it's good. Someone said it's good. Like, it'll work. Yeah. But it's more like, I'm not going to be stuck here doing this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Did that change when you started dabbling in other businesses? Where do you still find yourself running away from current situations versus going towards opportunities?
I think that was the only moment in my life where I really wanted to run away. Well, there was another, but not with business, with education. Mm-hmm. When I was before going to AUD, I was in another university. I forgot what it was called. American College of Dubai, I guess. that's when I felt like I walked into the classroom and I felt like I was the only smartest kid in the class. And I'm like, what am I doing here?
Big fish, little pond.
Yeah. And I was like, why am I so smart? But I know I'm not that smart, but why am I so smart? Why is everyone so dumb here? So I was like, I need to get out. I told my mom, please get me out.
Yeah.
I want to go to AUD. So
yeah.
that's those two situations of my life where I really wanted to get away.
And you're glad that you made the move both times, right?
I'm glad.
My when I finished 12th grade, my dad wanted me to do 13th grade. So in Choifat, we had like 13th grade as well to finish your A levels. And I'd done my AS levels at that point. And he was kind of planning, he's like, yeah, you do your 13th and then I ship you back to Pakistan to do your university, or you do it here. And I didn't want to be here. Like,
really?
I really, like, similar to you, I just wanted to run away. So I made my first ever pitch deck presentation at the age of 17.
Okay.
It was titled Why I Should Go to Canada. It had pie charts in there, like what percentage of my classmates are applying to Canada versus UK versus US. Yeah. And I made like, it was probably 15 to 20 minutes presentation. Yeah. But deep down inside, it was the same feeling as like, I don't want to be here because I don't think this is where I would be happy as well. And then, I find that both these situations, the running away, running towards, and you mentioned like now that you choose businesses.
Yeah.
So I was going to talk about pivots, but like in your case, sometimes pivots means like getting into a new venture. We were talking off camera about that too. So what do you think? What are you running towards now when you find new business opportunities? How do you take interest in them? How do you do your research? How do you how do you make the case for yourself? Like, you know what, this is going to be my next business thing. Yeah.
So basically, now it's much different than before. I analyze a lot. I do a lot of research before going into the business. I even look at all the risk factors, and I look into the finance. So even I have to check if I could actually find the right employees for that type of business, because I'm not just going to go with someone else and then train them and try to make the business work. So I look at all these factors before going into the business. A lot of people would probably give you numbers and say, look at these numbers. You can run this business. Just look at these numbers. To me, I'm not a numbers guy, because numbers can go up and can go down. If you don't have the components right, if you don't have all the factors that run the business, the pillars that run the business, you won't be able to run that business properly. So that's what I look into now. I analyze a lot. So even with the new business that I was talking to you about, that's what I did.
I mean, I want to dig into that a little bit, because I think it's really interesting for me to kind of formulate my thoughts around it too, because I intuitively understand what you're trying to say. Like, so there are some intangible costs of running a business, which sometimes can be labeled as headache or how do you find, what do you know about that, or what is your, well, how would you explain that? Like when you look at a spreadsheet, like for example, I'll give you an example while you think of this as well. When we do the agency, right? There's a couple of agency owners that are like 90% profit margin. This is the best business ever because this is what you put in. You have a laptop and you go in, there's a software, that's like $200. That's it, all you need. But you don't put in a number behind the sleepless nights, the campaigns breaking, or iOS 14 changing the game for you. Don't put a cost to all of those. But have you now intuitively picked up by running all these businesses, like what the potential roadblocks might be that can't be put into numbers?
No, not really. I mean, like, of course, there are those sleepless nights. You have a lot of stress, but then I wouldn't know exactly till I actually get into that business. That's what I would say. Like, you'd have to be in the day-to-day of the business to actually know what those roadblocks are going to be. Because presentations, we all know. Presentations are always meant to look good. You don't know until you get into that actual business.
Doing the work,
yeah.
And the things, I mean, it's unavoidable, but maybe it's better off just to leave time and money to manage shit. Because there's always going to be shit.
There's always going to be
in
shit,
every business, right? There's not rosy unicorn stuff going on, right? Like that's what we hear most from the hustle culture. It's like, do your own business. It's so great and it's fun. But like
every business, except for I would say, I think probably properties. If you do real estate and you invest when the project's under construction, and you just wait. So that's the waiting game, right? So you're investing and you're not doing anything, and then you set it off with good margins later. Well, it's stress-free unless you have that amount of cash with you. But when it comes to actual business, yeah, anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about just before camera, like even having an e-commerce store means you can be a bit more flexible with your time.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that the machine is always running and there are potential breakages that happen along the way. So do you, when you do this study and this research and this kind of planning, which you've started to do more now, what are the steps that look like? Because I'm trying to learn too, like I've started my first venture, but I don't want this to be my only one, right? Like I want to have multiple streams of income. So I want to start something else as well. Like even this podcast, I want to at some point monetize it. So I want to understand, like, how do you do your research? Like, do you talk to people? Do you do it online?
Yeah. So basically first I look into the competition and I check if there are people doing the same type of business. I try to find people inside that business, try to check how many orders are they getting in a day, like their numbers, and I try to find out what are the major people they employ in the company, so I know what's the main employees. There could be companies that say we employ like 100 people, but there could be 5 main people. Rest of them are just doing the job that they're being told to. They don't have like special skills, I would say. And then I even try to look into the suppliers. I first talked to the suppliers. So what I did was, before even opening up my license, I'm talking about the new business at Ziad.com, before even opening my license, I went and I had meetings with every single supplier out there. When it came to the eyewear brand, every single supplier, contact lenses, medical lenses, sunglasses, eyeglasses, came to the accessories of the glasses. I spoke to every single supplier, checked their the payments. How would it work? Would they give me credit and all of that? How would they allow me to advertise those products online? By the way, some brands don't allow you to do that, right? So I had to make all of that. I had to do all that study, and then eventually came up with the plan that this would be the final plan to start this business.
So you hadn't made a decision until you had all those conversations.
All those conversations, yeah.
That's super different than the first time.
Yeah, very different. I learned from the first time, right? Yeah. And this time I wanted to make e-commerce right. Like I wanted to actually own an e-commerce company. And this took me a while. This took me about 6 to 8 months, trying to even come up with the finance and stuff. Yeah.
I think that's really smart. I mean, there's an MBA model of doing research analysis, which always ends up in some sort of like, there's like 8 boxes you got to fill out with these threats, opportunities, SWOT analysis, but you're actually having conversations with people like and these are conversations that you can hold someone accountable to, right? So when you go to do a contract with them later on, you can mention like, listen, I started this company because we had this conversation. Are you going back to your word, or does that help you with your negotiation post when you start as well, or like having those initial conversations with them?
It does help. Yeah, it does help with negotiations and so well. But you have to understand, if you're a new company, I don't think you have an upper hand with any negotiations right now. Only when they see progress, that's when they could actually listen to you. We're the underdog, so like I'm trying to talk to them, telling them I'm coming up with this new company, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and most of the time the suppliers think they're just wasting their time, but for me, it's knowledge. Whatever I can get from their mouths, it's knowledge.
Yeah, they probably have like 10 people knocking their door.
Yeah, exactly.
Every day, trying to do something similar, but
giving them hopes like, hey, I'm gonna sell a lot of stuff. I need this, I need that. Yeah. But that's what I learned from them.
It's almost like doing a personal MBA project, right? At the end of the day, you have a research report for yourself. Like, you know what? Have you been to a point where you've done your research on a potential project or a business and then not gone ahead with it? Or do you always find yourself like...
No, there were a couple.
Yeah?
There were a couple.
And what stopped you from going ahead from those?
The idea, basically, like I wanted always to be something. I wanted to make something unique, have a unique product or a unique experience. So along the way, there were a couple of ideas that I had with a bunch of my friends, and I wasn't really, how do you say, impressed with it. Like going forward, I'll be like, okay, this sounds good. You know, when always you have this idea, you write it down and you're like, yeah, man, no one does this. And then give it a week, you do your research, you're like, fuck, it's available here, you know, like other people have done this. So that's where I scrapped up all my ideas. I always wanted to do something unique. So that's why with Adesat, it even took me a month or two to come up with the unique selling point that we have. We basically, we've got this service, it's called the home try-on service.
I was telling my mom about it this morning, but tell us a bit more about this.
I kept thinking, I was like, because we owned the optical stores, right? And I was like, people want to order online, but I'm even skeptical to order online in terms of sunglasses. It may not fit me. And why pay logistics? You go there, they try it on, they say it doesn't fit me, bring it back, send them another pair. So I came up with the idea.
Refund the payment.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. And Zara and all those other companies were doing that, like refund payments and stuff. I didn't find it convenient. So I was thinking, what if we send 4 to 10 pairs and let them try? Then I thought about it. I was like, let them pay for 4 to 10 pairs and then we'll refund them. Then I kept thinking again and I was like, no, why would I pay 4 to 10 pairs? You know, that's a lot on my card. So I was like, let them just pay $20 for a delivery fee and we'll have one of our drivers be there while they're trying. So the driver is going to stand outside, whatever. We created the box in such a way that it came with a mirror. So you could try them in your office, in your house, or even at the mall, wherever you are. It comes with a mirror so you could actually see how it looks like. And it really worked. People really liked that service. So it was the experience, you know, that it's if they order through any other website, it's a hassle for them if it doesn't fit them. But with Adesat, now they have the choice. They can make choices. They could order a smaller frame or a bigger frame, and it's more convenient that way.
No, it makes sense for me because I've got a tiny face and like there are very few sunglasses that actually suit me.
Yeah.
So that works super well for me. But what I like about this exercise that you're doing is like you are the primary target customer of your own business first. Yeah. And all these thoughts that you come up with for the USP, service delivery, the experience, I'm hearing you say like, would I want that?
Yeah.
And that I think it's a good edge to have.
Yeah.
And it's probably not true for like a lot of businesses to have that kind of experience. Like as an agency that does B2C advertising, like I don't need my own service ever. Yeah. Like, you know, I don't have products that I'm selling or services that I'm selling to the mass market, but I really like that, you know, would I like this? Would I pay like, yeah, you're right. Why would I pay for 4 to 6 pairs up front only to pick one? Yeah. Kind of like a box service. But I want to talk about shutting businesses down too. Have you shut down any businesses that you've running or they're all kind of running?
Yeah, I shut down a business that I opened in Ras Al Khaimah. It was, I opened an optical store there in a mall. It's like a kiosk. We had it for a year. I can't remember. Someone did tell me that you should open more branches outside Dubai. And I was like, sure. And I used to drive towards Ras Al Khaimah and was thinking with the population there and stuff, the rent was very cheap. So I was like, it could be an opportunity. But, you know, that was a mistake because even though the rent is cheap and the population's not there yet, it wouldn't make sense to open the business. Don't always look at the costs. that's what I realized. 1 year and we shut it down.
Yeah, I think we're getting to your mindset a little bit, because the way you assess opportunities seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said this earlier, where it has to be something unique. The customer experience has to stand out. Yes, you have a kiosk, but is it like blowing anyone's mind? And that doesn't motivate you.
That was the same time when I had Bond Avenue. Like we're like, okay, let's open one there. Let's try it out. But that's why all these failures kind of made me do a lot of work before opening Adasat, because Adasat, I wanted it to be like, I'm not sure if my final project, but the biggest project ever.
Keeping on that shutting it down thing, what are was it an overnight decision that you're like, you know what, this doesn't fit? Or what were the conversations you were having inside your own head and with other people that, you know what, this isn't right for me? And because obviously nobody wants to look like a quitter, be a quitter, or people always try to talk you off the ledge too, right? Especially if you're surrounded by other business people, they're like, but as you said, the rent is cheap. How did you kind of convince yourself? How did you convince others?
It took us a month to decide. Our accountant told us that it wasn't doing really well and stuff, and we couldn't manage it as well because of the logistics. Like, it was a far drive, and so that's when we decided, like, it wouldn't make sense to keep it going for the second year as well, where it's not easy to manage. And we had a manager back then, but long story short, he just kind of picked up his bag, got a couple of loans from the bank, and ran away. So
if I had a penny for every time I heard a story like that.
So that's also another issue for us, and it all happened during the renewal of that store. So the manager ran away, and then this was happening, and we're like, we can't manage it, so might as well just close it, and we'll focus on what we're doing right now.
So all the signs of the universe were pointing to shut it down. Exactly. Shut it down. Now's the time.
Yeah.
Is that the only business that you've shut down?
Yeah, that's the only business.
Okay, good. Well, I'm hoping that all the culmination of everything that's going into your current venture right now, I'm going to try saying it again. Adasat? Adasat.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to get it right by the end of this interview. Okay. Well, I want to talk to you about something that I obviously need help with, and potentially more business owners need help with as well. And it's probably a mindset thing too, and probably a physical thing too, but burnout. Right? When you are maybe in the early stages, or when you're at inflection points in different businesses. I'm not talking about being burnt out by the business. I'm talking about situations in a business owner's life where things outside the business are also a bit, there's a bit of calamity going on, or things are volatile outside of business life. Like, as an employee, I remember I could shut it off, right? Like, after 5 p.m., I don't owe my employer my time. That's my mental health. That's my thing. Or, you know, if things are not going well, I ask for vacation, and then somebody else does my job, and then I come back to it. But as a business owners, when things are going a little funny in your life in general, you can't really step away because it's just that time. How do you find yourself, if you've been in that situation, manage your mental, physical burnout kind of phase, protecting yourself from the burnout, or dealing with it in a way that you've learned that you're doing it better now, if that makes sense?
Yeah, to be honest, I do feel that sometimes, but as a business owner, I can't shut everything off. Like, I can't even put my phone on silent except for this time right now. But I'm on my phone every time, like even 2:00 in the morning. So I can't really do that, because at the moment I'm handling about around five companies, and the employees, they need me, plus even customers. I do have some customers that still prefer to talk to me, and they could even message me 2 a.m. So I can't really do that as much as I wanted to, even when I'm on vacations. Wherever we are, I'm always on my phone. So that's something, I don't know. I know that some businessmen do want to take the time off and they say, yes, I'm with my family now, I can't reply to calls. But what I do is I say, just what's up, me. I'm always replying. But yeah, I don't leave anyone hanging, to be honest.
It just does. It's not your personality to leave.
It's not it's not my personality.
Yeah.
And it kind of, it kind of gives me that feeling like if I see a message and I'm in a family gathering and all, and I have that itch like, no, I have to reply. Give it half an hour. I will reply. And definitely about work, but I have to like resolve that. Because what I faced was anything could happen in the business. Any freaking thing. Like I told you, my manager who took, I don't know, God knows how much he took from the banks, and he ran away. Okay. That was something all of a sudden. And then with businesses, you could have anyone, especially for us in the health industry, you could have anyone complain about lenses, like severe complaint. You never know.
Yeah.
Something happened to their eyes. So I'm always there, even though the manager should be handling this, but he'll get this and he'll call me about it. So
yeah,
I'm always there to support them.
So wanted to ask you, like, what do you do then? I wanted to ask you later, but we can get into it now. You mentioned you were a boxer before too.
Yeah.
But in terms of self-care, to keep you ready for this kind of role, like that you're in, 5 companies, 2 a.m., WhatsApp messages going, plus family, plus 100 other things going on. How do you stay ready for these kind of days and weeks and months and years?
So back then, when I was professionally fighting, my schedule would be 6 o'clock morning runs, and then straight to work, and then train for another 3 hours, and then off to home. But in between, back then, I didn't really own that many companies, and I wasn't that busy. I had Bond Avenue, and I had the optical store, and I was doing my real estate with one of my business partners, but it wasn't so demanding as it is right now. So as you can see, I'm kind of out of shape right now.
No judgment. The camera adds pounds. It's like that. That's very cool, man. One of the parts of like the thing that we're talking about right now, when you've taken on too much, what I'm trying to get better at also is saying no to certain things, right? And this is kind of a tough lesson that I've learned in business, that even when taking on new clients, for example, any of your B2B businesses, sometimes you just know that this is not going to be a fruitful relationship. Like you say, you've done the numbers, but it looks profitable, but this is going to be a toxic addition to my life. Have you always been good at saying no to these kind of what seem to be opportunities, or you just take everything on?
I'll tell you why I take everything on. Because I feel like, okay, this could be toxic in the beginning, right? But I feel like later, either or would realize that this could be a good relationship. I always give it time. I never say no. And even if the other party or the other supplier or the other business thinks that they could like be scamming me or fooling me with numbers and stuff, I act normal. I just put a poker face and I accept to everything, and I just give it time to make them realize. I build the relationship that way. So that's how it is for me. Like I don't want to say no to anyone, to be honest.
That's really interesting, because like obviously with everything, it's you hear both sides of the coin, right? So some of the people that I've been looking up to have been telling me to say no more often, and I've tried it and it's worked for me too, or I think it works for me. Like this, this is the part where I think it kind of bites me in the ass. Yeah. If I take what you're saying, you say yes, but you say yes with an ultimate goal of turning shit around between the relationships. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes we get approached by companies that want to use our services, and they just give us all the wrong feels from the beginning. Pushy, demanding, timelines, probably will pay us late, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then all this, the spidey sense starts tingling. It's like, no, we've been there before. We're going to be burnt out by this client, and it's not going to be that worth it. So we do that cost benefit analysis, but the cost being, we assign a PETA factor, pain in the ass factor for every client that we take on. And if it's over like 7, then we're like, we don't pursue the deal anymore,
Okay.
or we don't act disinterested, but we haven't learned to do it the way that you're talking about it. Like, do it respectfully.
So, yeah, do it respectfully. But that's your example is really good. Like, if you see that they're gonna pay you really late, that's a major factor, to be honest. And I would probably say no to that. But what I'm saying is that, for example, if I have a supplier come in today and he offers his products and he says we're rated as number 3 in the world and blah blah blah, and we have a good customer service and everything, fine, that's a good sign. I go with that company. Tomorrow I find that he's not really responsive, customer service is shit, and we're still selling some of his products. I'm not gonna go and tell him no till I prove to him, like, you see these numbers, come back here. You see these numbers, now I demand like your respect. Now I demand your time. So that's how I kind of do it. But when it comes to like what you just said, yeah, I would probably say no, because I value those things as well.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we got into business to have the lifestyle that we want. And the lifestyle includes who you spend your time with, who you're working with, because that's 8, 10, 12, as you know, 16 hours a day working with those people. And just to be clear, let's say we're not shy of working hard. Like, as you said, like when you go into businesses, you want to do something unique. You want to do something that's not out there, unique customer experience. The other end of that is, if you want to make money in business, I was thinking of this on the drive here, is do something unique or do something that someone doesn't want to do. Which is do the hard work. Not do all the hard work, but do something that's hard that nobody else is willing to do. So when an opportunity from a client comes that, okay, this is going to be hard work, it turns us on. Like, it's hard work. It's got to be worth it. But if it comes with the extra baggage of the other things that we mentioned, we haven't found a way to like. But maybe there's an in between, and you with your experience, like, you know, you say that you give it enough time to kind of resolve itself as well, and turn the relationship around. Or kind of maybe demand the respect like you do with your suppliers. Maybe there's a way to do that with the clients as well. Like, like, you need me as much as I need you.
Exactly.
Because it is true sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes it is true. I just don't like playing games yet. You know, like, because those are, it doesn't come naturally. So I have to develop like a way, like the way you're talking about it is actually developing something naturally inside my head. Like, okay, there's a end outcome in there. But I'm going to switch gears from saying no to, who do you call most at 2 a.m. for business advice? So there's obviously you have partners in the business, but outside your partners, where do you get your business lessons from, or who do you have to talk through your ideas, your anxieties, your decisions? Is there someone in your life that plays that role?
Probably my wife. 2 a.m. Man, it's crazy. Sometimes I come up with ideas like really late at night, and we're just about to sleep, and I'm like, hey, you want to listen to this? And I just keep explaining to her. And what's good is she supports me in everything. And if it comes up with a good idea at night, then she starts brainstorming as well. So that's good. We're like a team, right? So yeah, she's probably the person that I speak to late at night. But I've got 2 business partners as well, different businesses. Payam, who's actually both of them are my childhood friends. So Payam's my business partner in my current business now with Adasat, and Maywan's my other business partner with the real estate. And we talk really late at night because anything comes through, especially with the real estate, like different inquiries and clients sometimes backing out or interested, and they want to meet early in the morning. So we do talk about all these things. I'm
going to ask Julia if she can hear me. What's the craziest idea he's come up with at night?
There's a lot of crazy ideas.
What's one he would talk about? What do you remember?
Actually, one recent one is actually the gym that he's opening up. it's a gym. Like, we've never, I mean, we always work out, but we've never really thought that, hey, let's open up a gym, you know?
Was this a 2 a.m. idea?
Yeah.
I think so. Could be. Yeah, I think so. Well, no. The idea was there. The idea was there during the daytime, but I didn't get to see her. So I remember I spoke to her at night, like, "Hey, I think we'll be gym owners soon."
And I was just,
It's like, hey, you want to have a child? No, I want a business. Another one right now. Oh, that's crazy. We so my wife and I, we run our business together too, and I kind of instituted this no talk about business rule after
Okay.
9 p.m.
Okay.
because my mind is also running at like high pace, but then I get insomniac and I love my sleep. Like
Yeah.
I'm not compromising my sleep. I sleep 8 to 9 hours a day. I don't care how busy shit gets. I'm gonna get that sleep. And if we start talking business at 9 or after 9, then just the mind is rolling all day.
Yeah.
And have a notepad next to me. Then we'll grab a laptop and we start working on it. But because we're talking about business pretty much all day from the time we wake up.
True.
Like, what meetings do you have today? What time do you need the car?
Yeah.
Who's going where?
Yeah.
Where are you going to be today? What do you want to do about that invoice?
Yeah,
Yada,
yeah.
yada, yada. And we find it pretty, she loves it though. She's more like you. And like, she's
Okay.
like, what if we? And it starts with like, I was thinking. So as soon as I hear that, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Every time she says, I was thinking, I was like, oh God, here we go again. And I'm basically, I've taken the role of her idea killer
Okay.
in a fun way,
Okay.
like challenging the
Yeah.
idea, because she's the ideas girl. I'm the execution guy.
Yeah.
I don't get many original ideas. I don't know why, but she does. But she doesn't like the execution. I love the execution. So
That's
we
the
make
tough part.
we make that.
Execution. Shit.
But this is how we talk to amongst ourselves. We're like, you're the 0 to 1 girl.
Yeah.
I'm the 1 to N. So the same thing with our current business. She started it up. Like
Yeah.
it was her freelance. So she took it from 0 to 1, concept to idea, running, payments coming in, all good. And then it's like, how do you make this a proper, well-oiled machine? That's where I come in, because
Yeah.
that's boring. And I love the boring stuff. I want to talk about something differently now. We're mentioning your business partners and the importance of people before as well. In terms of doing your research, you look at the key employees. So I want to talk about employees in a different way than we've
Yeah.
talked about just before, is retention. Let's say you are working with someone that you know is a gem. And we all know in our deep down in our hearts who our gems are. Like we don't need a analysis or a scale of numbers to tell us. We just know that this person,
Yeah.
I want to keep them with me for
Yeah.
as long as I can.
Yes. Yes.
What have you learned about retaining these kinds of people? And how do you go about...
So I don't have to bring up their names, right? Because they might
Up to you.
demand a higher salary. So, like, you're killing me right now.
Yeah, sure. Don't bring up the name. Change. Everything is fictional
Yeah.
for this podcast right now.
Yeah.
But fictionally, these people.
So yeah, I do have actually two of them. One of them was with me in Bond Avenue, and from Bond Avenue, I gave him when we sold Bond Avenue. Then I gave him a role in the shop, and he kept telling me, he's like, "Oh, I actually want to leave Dubai, and I want to go settle somewhere else." And that time I brainstormed, I decided, right? And I was like, listen, I have another idea that I want you to like manage it, and I could see the potential and everything, and I really trust you with it. And when I gave him the idea, and he was like, yeah, that sounds really cool and stuff. And I was like, yeah, just wait for some time and I'll get you there. So he's with me right now. So he's been working with me since 2014, I guess, 14 or 15, since Bond Avenue. And I have another guy who's basically a doctor, and he's the what you call the optometrist. The optometrist. So he's been with me also since I think 2015, and he was just an optometrist with me. Now he's the manager of the retail outlets. So because we're gonna be opening more retail outlets, and he's been managing them. So he basically does everything now, like literally opening. He executes in opening a store. So I've given him that role right now, and he's learning with experience as well how to open up more stores.
And what do you think motivates them to stay with you? Like, do you do anything special for them to develop this kind of bond? I mean, it's not easy to keep someone with you for 8 years. Through multiple businesses. But what is it that you're intentionally doing to keep them by your side?
To be honest, it's definitely the amount of money that he gets paid. And of course, because since he's been with me for a long time, so he knows my family and he knows my dad, and they get along well. So it's that kind of feeling that we give him, more like a family business kind of feeling, and it gives him more confidence to stay here, and that's why he stays with us. Like he hasn't told me yet that he wants to go somewhere else.
Good.
Yeah.
And that's
I just hope he doesn't talk about it now after this podcast.
Well, don't send him the link. Where were you this morning? I don't know. I had a meeting. I was eating bagels. But yeah, that's super important, because what you've done there is not replicatable, right? Like, or replicable. God, my English, I left that at home today. But like, how do you replicate that family feeling with, like, you, if he gets an offer from somebody else too? Like, how do you, for him, it's like, how do you value that?
So I'll tell you. So this guy comes late all the time. My wife, my car, my this, my that. But I know he's got a much bigger role than other employees, and I let it slide, because I know at the end of the day he has to manage like 10 employees. So it's okay, because you're gonna pick up your phone at 11 p.m. when your duty finishes at 10, because if somebody really needs you. So I let that slide, and I give him the authority to do that, but not all the time. But that's how he knows that if he goes somewhere else, he won't be able to do that. And also with, like, I understand, like, sometimes he talks about his family gatherings and he has to leave urgently. I've given him so many of those. I let those slide so many times. So we have a good understanding, and I'm sure that's why he wouldn't want to, he feels like he's within the family,
Yeah, it's almost like he has that equity build up with you, right? And that's hard to get anywhere else. Like we kind of have the same mantra where we're like, the working hours don't matter as much as getting the job done matters.
Yeah.
Right. And things are going to happen like normal life. Like as an employee myself, one of the biggest things that made me shift into this life is, like, I need the flexibility for when stuff goes down.
Yeah.
Will I be available for family? Will I be available for XYZ? And as a salaried person, you always got to ask someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like when my mom had COVID, she was back home in Lahore, and I had to ask for leave. And the life that I want is, like, I want to get out. Like, I want to get on the next flight.
Exactly.
And then back then, flights were not available, and you weren't sure if you'd ever come back because the borders were closing and stuff like that. So I had a chat with my boss at that time that this is the case. I might go, and I don't know if I can come back. He said, do what you want with your family. And, they are priority. That's the first thing. But I need you back. And if you can't come back, then where I stand. Because this is a business at the end of the day, which makes sense. And we try to give our employees that kind of feeling too, that, don't feel like we're in your way as long as the work gets done.
Yeah.
And then you only give that to people that are going to respect that unwritten contract with you, right? Because it's an unwritten contract. If you finish at 10, but if I call you at 11, can you help out?
Yeah.
And you don't do it out of guilt. You do it out of like respect.
Yeah.
Like you respect me for coming in late.
Exactly.
And then I respect you back by doing the thing at a time that I'm not supposed to be working.
Yeah.
Very few and far between now to find these kind of people, right? How do you go about looking for people?
Okay, that's kind of tough, because right now, to be honest, like, even someone who comes up with a CV and I look at his qualifications, for me, I really don't think it matters. When I put him on a job for a probation period, that's when I get to see their actual qualifications, whatever they've studied and where they've worked. It doesn't really matter to me, because what if they have an attitude problem? You know, what if they lie? What if they've got a criminal case or something? Like, I don't know. All that stuff doesn't really matter to me. That's why when a lot of people send me CVs, I'm like, I would like to meet them in person. And I just browse through the CV really fast. Sometimes I don't even look where they studied. Or it doesn't matter. Even after graduating, I remember going to lots of companies trying to get a job. I think it's only the big NMCs that would really see where you studied, but a normal business would not really check all that. And if it's even now with the fast growing pace of e-commerce, I don't think these companies are really skimming through all of that right now. They're trying to look for quality people.
Yeah, I mean, because it's all becoming pretty outdated, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what degree I did 10 years ago, because none of that, none of that shit is real anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever we study in marketing or finance, like all those assumptions have been overturned.
Yeah.
Like, you probably want someone who went to university just to see, do they know how to manage time?
Exactly.
Like, did they get through that 4-year process of like going through exams and managing a social life and doing all? Because that's my biggest lesson from university, was not the studies, was the how do you manage like part-time jobs with studies, with socializing, with partying, with whatever else that comes as a part of that, and still get out on the other side with a degree, right? Because some people don't make it. Some people don't make it to the other side for different reasons, right?
A lot of people who don't make it as well are still very successful, you know.
That's also true, right? So you can't really make any conclusions.
I don't think so. You can make a conclusion right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have to do it, because as per the, do you know about the law here, that as per the law, you cannot have a manager's visa. Actually, not even a manager's visa. Any visa right now, except for like a cleaner, without having a degree.
Yeah, you have to send.
It just got revised about a month or two ago. So they need everyone with degrees now.
Yeah, no, I'm on a clerk visa. You know? But yeah, it's like you have, not only do you have to get that, show that degree, you have to get it like attested from the country that you got it from.
What's it called? Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yeah, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And they wanted to send me back to Ottawa in Canada to like go get it done. I was like, I'm not going to Ottawa. No, it's true. Hopefully that's changing.
They just revised it. I don't know why, but it really doesn't make sense with especially with social media marketing right now as well.
It's all self-taught.
It's exactly. It's self-taught. Who would know that this would be one of the biggest industries right now? Yeah, and it's literally just online courses that are teaching people what to do. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what online course, like you don't go and check like where did you do an online course, because by the time they finish the course, it's already out of date, because there's so many changes with what happened, right? Okay, I want to switch gears, talk about partners. You've talked about your childhood buddies becoming your partners. My business partner is my wife, so she's not my childhood buddy, but we're, as you can imagine, close a little bit. But it's probably an intuitive answer for you. But how do you assess the value that you bring to your business versus your partner, and the value that they bring to their business? Let's say you go 50-50 into with someone. And I ask this selfishly because being in business for 2.5 years with a partner, my wife, 50-50, there are phases when one person's more valuable than the other. It's just the natural phase of things, wherever one is needed more, and sometimes the other one is needed more.
Yeah.
But how do you keep that in check? Like, you know, the value is coming from both sides, and how do you hold each other accountable, let's say?
Okay, so basically with my current business right now, so one of my partners, Payam, so basically with us, we first assess the finance, who's putting up the capital, okay, and we also look into the responsibilities. So if someone's putting up more of the capital, then the other partner would have more of the responsibilities. And it's more of an understanding thing as well. You need to understand your partner really well. So I wouldn't do a business with anyone, although I got offered by so many people, and they could be strangers or just friends, but I wouldn't do that, because as long as I understand the mentality, the personality of that individual, and I know him really well, then only I would do business with him. So it's more of the finance, the responsibilities, and that's where we make the partnership.
Yeah, makes sense. But there's no need to enforce anything at any point. Do you find yourself like in those kind of positions where, luckily we haven't gotten there either, but like, hey, pick up your socks, or like
yeah, but you know, we would do it in more like a lighter tone, and more like a funnier tone, or probably we would kind of like advise each other, like, hey, you know, like, you could have gotten that deal, but you didn't because you did so and so, so blah blah blah. And that's how we talk
like
to
mutual
each other.
respect.
Mutual respect. We've never,
that's healthy, because like, you know, I've seen it with other partners go wrong, and like, you know, Alina and I are pretty careful about having that, because there's two sides to it, right? One is we kind of do it similar to you guys. The other side is we're very kind to each other, and sometimes I need someone to call me out on my bullshit. And sometimes she needs someone to call her out. And we try to keep that relationship where, like, look, I know you got a lot going on in your life, so I'm going to not talk about this for 2 weeks. Because you've got XYZ going on with your family and like your health and this and that. Like, you know what? I'm going to lay off. But like, you know, just expect like 2-3 weeks later, I'm going to pick this back up again and be a bit more assertive with that. And sometimes it's just like, can I cut you off? Because like, this is BS. But like, luckily it's not like hard feeling. It's like, we're both like looking at this, like, we're raising a child here, the baby, the business. And this is what the business is asking for. If you have a better argument, please present it. But like, let's try not to be upset at each other if we use, because harsh tone comes out between husband and wife, right? Like it happens all the time. But luckily we've been in that maybe childhood friends kind of zone too. Like, you know, like, okay, it's for the better of the business.
Exactly. If you have a better idea, bring it out. Let's assess those ideas. Look into the risks of those ideas, the opportunities in those ideas, and then we talk about it. But that's how it is. It's more like every talk. You know when you're talking to a business partner that's been your childhood friend. So every business talk has a joke in it. You know what I mean?
Or
it's
10.
very, very light, and you always have to, and you bring up other stuff with it. So it's not all business, but it's actually for business. But you could bring up a lot of stuff in between to make it very light. But when you're talking to your employees, it's not like that. So the relationship's very different. And I'm glad that we have that sort of relationship, because if we only spoke about business, I don't think this relationship would last longer, because then you would easily be pointing fingers at each other. You get what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
If you're not cracking jokes in between and stuff, if you don't really hang out much, but you're good buddies, but you don't hang out as much, as you don't know his family really well, he doesn't know my family well, then that's what happens.
That's something, and thank you for mentioning that, because it's such a, you know, before I got into business, again, opportunities came to me to partner up with people, but something intuitively was telling me, my gut was strong, like, no, because like, there's no relation. Now you're giving me the words, but there was no like relationship outside of the business deal.
Exactly.
Like, and it's much easier to do it with someone that you have a shared history with, that you do a lot of unspoken stuff with. Like, so you talked about, you talk business, you talk jokes, but there's also this unspoken language, right? So when I moved to Dubai first, one of my friends started a consultancy, a tax and VAT consultancy, and he hired me as his first employee. And I was doing biz dev and sales for him, but he treated me like a partner. And his condition for working was we only work from shisha cafes. He quit his like almost next level up to VP at Emirates. So he was doing pretty well, and he went out on his own. He's like, they don't allow me to smoke shisha at Emirates, so I'm going to start my own business. So all of our conversations were over like Moroccan tea and shisha and like laptops open, then we work for a bit, then we shut it down when we talk about stuff. I was like, this is great. Like, and he has that relationship with other partners that actually invested in the business, raised capital with him, all equal share, and they all know each other's families. They have like Eid, everyone's over for Eid, like family,
It's
not like, it's a forced thing.
It's a family bonding. Yeah.
It's a family bonding. And like one of the guys is his cousin that he's played with since he was a child. The owner of the studio too, who I used to work for, has a similar relationship with a gentleman that they are just very different people, but they've got such a bond. Like they got such a bro bond going that it's just carrying the business. It makes the business conversations easier to move forward, not just in good opportunities, but like in bad times too, like picking each other up in bad times.
It's that kind of relationship, you know, like everyone knows that you guys are always together. So if someone's looking for me and I'm not available right now, they'd probably call my business partner and be like, hey, do you know where Ziad is? Like, I've been trying to reach him. It may not be about business, even family, you know. That's how it is. That's how close. And someone told me once, he's like, you cannot do business with any individual as long as you know him in and out. Someone once told me this, it was very valuable. And then you know what he did? He did business with a stranger.
That makes no sense.
It makes no sense, yeah. But I learned from that, and I was like, yeah, that's really true. And after a year, I saw him doing business with somebody else. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I was just talking bullshit.
Yeah. I joined a few online communities when COVID first hit, and we were all locked in, and I needed to like meet people and stuff like that. So a couple of Discord, couple of big Slack groups.
Yeah.
And I always saw these kind of like partnerships organically being created, and things opened up for the team. And I got a few DMs, or I shot out a few DMs. I just could never go forward with partnering up with a stranger because, you know, sometimes there are opportunities that are in your head that you want to approach, but no one in your network knows anything about that. Right. And then you kind of exhausted, like no one that I know truly trust knows something, but the experts in this is someone that I don't know. So sometimes I feel like reaching out to somebody reaches out to me, and something always breaks down in the initial like first or second conversation. And I'm guessing it's like, it's that, right? That there's no chance to build up that relationship.
Even I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think like doing business with family members could be kind of toxic sometimes. I've seen that a lot. And when family members would disagree at a certain point, then it kind of breaks the family as well. So,
you know what happens more? Like the phrasing that or Alina told me actually is like, are you eating from the same plate? So if you're like two brothers doing business, the brother's got his family, lives with his family, has his family expenses, has a family life, and then you've got your own family and wife and kids, and et cetera, et cetera. When it's two different plates, you're feeding two different plates. That's when you are more likely to have like a potential for toxicity. Versus the way Alina and I look at it, we eating from the same plate. Like it's all coming back into this house. This is the bedroom. We, you know, we, you know, don't take a shit where you sleep. That kind of stuff, right? Like, so that's what I had this brother-in-law, he's in Pakistan running a few businesses, and you know, I think my sisters, my mom had brought up sometime like, you know, why don't you do something with them? Like, no, different plates.
Bro, I got the exact same request from my aunt. It's like, why don't you do something with your cousin? And I was like, I don't think so. Like, wouldn't make sense, you know, just to, or you know what, just add him into your business, teach him about your business. I'm like, why? It happens in our culture, by the way.
It does. It's like, why don't you hook this guy up with a job? It's like, because like I'm looking for a certain quality in people, not just anybody. Like maybe, you know, back in that generation, like maybe you'll tell me this too. My dad was like not educated. He came here when he was 17, 18. He had like an AC mechanic certification. That's it. Back in those days, it really didn't matter what you studied or what you knew, because you'd learn on the job. Everything was apprenticeship based, and there was company training for stuff, and you'd learn on the job, and you can fit anyone in there. So you can put your cousin, brother, mother, chachi, everyone like into the warehouse and teach them what to do. But now like the standards have changed. Maybe our mindset has changed. Like we don't want just anybody and we'll teach them. We want genuine humans that we get along with and
Exactly.
be on the same wavelength and understand our vision or talk about the same things, and then the work will be done.
Yeah.
You know, and that's becoming pretty apparent now with our business now that I finally have one. It's like, hey, why don't you get this cousin or
I don't
like
I don't
different
think the whole-
plates.
and then
right?
and then the whole thing is like when you get like a family member, especially a cousin,
Yeah.
whatever happens in the business, everyone in the family is gonna know about it, you know.
Yeah.
But when you get random people, you don't care anymore. You're not gonna meet their family.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I think it's in best interest to
Yeah.
very heavily qualify. Like I was mentioning, my ex-boss, or the one who started the tax consultancy, he does a business. One of his partners is his cousin, but he's like a cousin. Like he has the same relationship as like childhood friends,
Yeah.
more than just a cousin. Speaking of people, there's one very important kind of person that I know that you care about. It's customers.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned this a couple of times in the conversation already, that the customer experience and how they feel
Yeah.
is super important to you.
Yeah.
What made you that way? Like how did you start? When did you first start thinking about that? I'm not talking about the 13-year-old looking for email addresses of the girls coming in the store. That's a different customer experience. But like, what tuned your? Because I'm asking why, because it's not very common in Dubai. The way you're talking about customer experience is not common. It's very business over here, right? Transaction.
Yeah.
What inspired you?
For me, basically, it kind of started from the bank, because I would actually meet them face to face, and what worked for me was referrals. If I gave my 100% to this customer, I knew he would come back, and he would come back with other people, and that's how I would multiply my business. And I wanted to do the same thing for all the other businesses as well, because if you have that recommendation, it's pretty strong, and you may not want to spend more budget on your marketing, because word of mouth and recommendations would actually make your business pretty solid, especially right now. And that's what we do. Like, even if we have a customer complaining and my manager comes up to me and he says, "Sir, this is what happened, blah blah blah," I'm like, wait a minute, like, make sure you address that complaint. Check first if it's legit. If it's legit, make sure you address that complaint and make her happy, so she can refer us to other people, and definitely they would come back. So that's what we do. We even have a loyalty program, because I always wanted them to come back. Retention is key in this type of business.
Absolutely. I think
especially for my business right now, retention is key. Like, when it comes to real estate, okay, how many could you possibly buy? But you would refer someone else, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You may not come back to me after 4 years, or you might come back after 4 years, you know.
Yeah.
But you definitely give a referral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's a different kind of sales, right? Like, retaining customers is still sales, but it's a different kind of sales. And I'd wish, like, what you're thinking about and how you think about, you're thinking about the end goal. Like, I'm nice to the customer and I'll take crap and I'll fix my problems, especially if they're my problems caused by me and my company or my employee, because the word gets out. So the opposite of referrals is like bad mouthing, which goes a long way too.
Yeah. You cannot do that.
You can't do that, right?
No.
Like, any experience that people remember about you, and if you made them feel bad, they will remember that forever.
That's what I make sure. I make sure no one from our team gets aggressive with any customer, even if they come back with a non-legit excuse for a warranty or anything. You cannot get aggressive with them.
Yeah. Like, this is what I can't stop yelling loudly about businesses that do things like that. Like, if I walk into a Bose store with broken headphones and they're out of warranty and the guy still replaces it for me, I'm a customer for life now.
Yeah.
I'll keep buying more and more of their headphones. This is why I love Kareem too. Like Kareem's customer service, like it has to be one of the best in all of the entire market here. They've never ever let me down. The way they respond, the way they have the people talking to me, because I use Kareem Plus, which is like the everything app, and they know my name. They're like, you're a valued customer, this and that, and they always call back to see if everything was resolved. Can you please go do a training for whole of Dubai on these kind of thinking? Because no, it's very much needed here, because we're both pretty fed up. We got a culture shock when we moved back from Canada. In Canada, customer success is like number one thing.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go to a coffee shop that's like a small cafe down the street, or like a big corporation, big emphasis on people and how to treat people.
Yeah.
So can you please like start like a customer service company?
Why not?
We need to get this message out more. And I also think, and tell me this is right. So your experience at Dubai Bank was like almost a sales role, right? Like getting you had targets and stuff.
Targets and stuff.
So that kind of gives you skin in the game to be thinking like that too. And I wish that more entrepreneurs, there's two kinds of entrepreneurs, right? There's technical entrepreneurs that have like an idea, or they know how to build an app, or they know how to source product, but they've never done sales ever. And they think they can do the business without ever needing to know sales. But having done sales, and I used to do like 40 cold calls a day at my first job at a financial institution, trying to get new clients. That kind of taught me, and I'm not built for sales. Like I didn't know I was going to be, I'm an introvert first of all. So I don't like talking to people in general. Not like I don't like it, just sucks my energy a lot and I need to recover. But like getting those lessons when clients fire you, why did he leave me? What did I do wrong? What could I have done to prevent this? Or when you sign on a new client, what is it about me that they liked? Was it my price? Was it the serve? Was it me? Was it something I said? Was it something I showed? Was the timing right? And you start figuring out those things. And the smallest of customers, like you probably have like in the B2C, like tiny customers, right? Some people that do one purchase.
Exactly.
But do you like treat them differently than you would like?
No, we don't.
That's what I want you to teach to people.
We don't. We give them the same respect as if they're one of our retaining customers. We greet them the same way, and we add a little friendly note that makes them feel like, wow, this was the first purchase, for sure it's not gonna be the last. Like they'll keep coming back. So we give them that. Okay,
my Ray-Ban just broke, so I'm in the market. I need to try a few things out. Switching gears again. We talked about your partner and you deciding responsibility based on capital and XYZ. Wanted to know, curious, have you ever written a job description for yourself for any of the businesses?
Oh, no, I don't think
like
so.
your roles and responsibilities?
On paper in front of him? No. Just verbally, verbally.
I'll take care of XYZ.
I'll take care of this. I'll take care of the sales, blah, blah, blah. I'll take care of marketing, but not really. No, we didn't do that.
I'm asking because I was told to recently do that by a couple of people. And one was this book I read. It's called The E-Myth Revisited. It's subtitled Why Most Small Businesses Fail and What to Do About It. Great book. I would recommend reading that. It's like, it's a slap in the face for a lot of entrepreneurs. It's literally harsh. It's like, you shouldn't be in business kind of slap. And one of the things they do recommend is you want to work on the business and not in the business, right? Like you want to step away as much as possible to give the business away so it runs on its own without you need it. For that, step one is you write a job description. Write that job description, figure out what you can delegate, make phases of like, okay, I need to hire X person for this part of it and that part of it. So I wrote a job description that was 8 pages long.
Wow.
And I'm guessing yours is probably like 10 pages.
It would probably be,
I took that to a coach who was looking to bring me on as a client, a business coach, and he's like 8 pages. He's like, who do you think you are? Like, what are you, Richard Branson? It should be 1 page long. I said, it's not. He's like, then you're doing it wrong. You're not delegating enough. You're not hiring enough. You're keeping too much to yourself.
I think that's my problem as well.
Do you have, is it easy to let go of responsibilities?
No, because honestly, like, when I'm away from the office for a day or two, and when I go back in, I look more into the operations and I get involved. But even my wife told me, like, you shouldn't be too involved. You should be outside of it and looking to more ideas where you could expand the business instead of being in it. But for me, personally, I want to be in it as well to know what exactly is happening, like especially customer service, because I'm more of that kind of guy. I really look into customer service, so I always check if there's any complaints or anyone's really happy. I want to know if they gave any feedback. Yeah, so I'm more into the operations, and then I try to delegate a little of my time as well in terms of expanding the business.
Yeah, but are there clear things that your partner or your wife had told you, like this particular thing, please don't catch me, or don't let me catch you doing this anymore, because it's like far beneath you. You shouldn't be doing this.
No, nothing like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm asking again selfishly, because there are things that, for example, Alina is doing, and she knows this. Like, we talk about this all the time. I'm just looking at the camera because she can see me when she watches this. But there are certain elements within, like, for example, setting up a campaign, making creatives, right? Every ad needs a creative. We have people that do that for us.
Yeah.
And as a CEO, she shouldn't be. But sometimes she's like, I just want to do it. Because, like, she loves it, right? Like, she's a freelancer at heart, even though she's managing people that can do half her job now. And I'm confused because I see the joy that it brings her and the attention to detail that she gives to the client's work. It's kind of similar to what you're saying. Like, the customer experience starts, like, the genesis of that philosophy of your business is coming from you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, is it the best use of her time? Like, in terms of, like, you're limited 24 hours a day that can leverage the business growth in a different way.
It's not the best use of her time, but I think you should do like what she did. Does she make creatives or she overlooks them? Like she
overlooks them, but once in a while she'll be like, you know what, for this one I just want to make one fresh. Like, I got like 5 from the designer, but like I'll try a 6th version myself.
To be honest, I'm a bit like that. Like just recently, last week, with the marketing team, and I saw a creative that was boosted, and I saw that. I took a screenshot and I was like, guys, we're not supposed to be putting this on because I don't think it looks good. And then, sir, but we got sales and the numbers are good with this creative. I was like, okay, why don't you add a bit of this? And then the whole argument, but that's our job. So we know what's doing good. And I'll be like, okay, just do this and let's see. And they'll be like, last time you told us to do this, we didn't get any sales. We'll do this again because you said, but maybe we may not get sales because we know what we're doing. I don't know. It's just some insights that I like. I look at it and I'm like, I feel that, but I may not be in that certain job, and I don't think I know what I'm doing with creatives. I just feel sometimes like the communication that I have, and I look at it and I'd be like, why would I buy that when I don't see it being communicated right to me?
Absolutely. Like, you have to be the target customer to have those insights too, right? You're always looking at it from that lens. And this is the fun part about us doing health and wellness businesses. We are literally, if not, we are customers of actually all our customers. So like, I do my chiro at the chiro clinic that we advertise for. So like, it's always like that kind of relationship with all our clients. So we have that kind of insight. But what we recently started doing is also not wanting to work 12 hours a day. I don't know if we're too early into the business, right? Like, we're 2.5 years old. They say like, well, the first 5 years is just going to be like this. It's going to be 12, 14 hours a day. And we have this like element of dreaming in our head where, what if we were to bring this down to 8 hours? What do I have to do less of? And that's a discussion we do like every few months. Like, what do I do less of? And the challenge with that, and tell me if this is right, maybe you were able to let go of something, but then you fill it up again with other new things that you're like, you know what? Now I have time to do this thing that I've been thinking of doing as well. So maybe that 8-hour day is a dream. It's not going to realize itself.
Yeah, it does happen. Like, even now, I mean, working every single hour, but sometimes I do feel like, okay, now this business, I could actually step away for a bit and let me focus somewhere else, and I'll come back after a week. After a week, I'll be looking back into it.
No, I can't imagine stepping. Like, you can't step away from a baby for a month, right?
Yeah.
You might give it
Of
to a
course.
nanny for a few hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what I'm talking about. I have no kids, but like, I've seen other people do this.
Mhm.
Can I talk to you about patience? I feel like you have a lot of it.
How do you know?
Just throughout this conversation, I feel like you're very grounded.
Yeah.
And again, I'm asking because I struggle with patience.
Mhm.
So just want to hear your thoughts about, because I hear this, like the saying, right?
Yeah.
Having impatience with action and
Mhm.
having patience with the results.
Mhm.
I feel like you're at a place where you understand the true meaning of that without actually having heard that quote, and you embody
Yeah.
it. What would you say to someone who can't wait to get it all? Like, I've been a bit impatient with how much time it takes for the machine to evolve, and
Mhm.
it's taking its natural course. And
Yeah.
feel like we're doing everything, but
Mhm.
like, want it to happen sooner.
Yeah. Patience. For me, I am a very patient guy. I patiently wait for results, and that's I don't know if it's a good thing, but that's how I've always been. And honestly, I think I kind of learned it from this individual. He was my boxing coach, and he kind of believed in me when I didn't even know I could box, to be honest. And he kind of set out a time frame for, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years, something like that, to make me a UAE boxing champion. And I was just very patient and like did everything that he told me to do, like every single day, just work and work and work hard, and finally achieved that. So I kind of learned, I think I learned that from him, the whole patience thing. And results will come. You just have to work every single day, but be patient. Because if you're impatient, you're gonna pull the plug and just change your route and go back to scratch.
Yeah, I mean, changing directions too often
Mhm.
is not helpful.
That's not helpful.
And I've been guilty of doing that with a few projects in the past too. This is probably the most patient I've been, but it's still work in progress of having that future result coming through.
Yeah.
And doing the daily work for it.
Yeah.
And I think even with small businesses, that the stat of like 80% of small businesses fail within the first year or 2 years too. And I intuitively think that patience is one of the things.
Patience is one of the things, especially with small businesses. Once you start out, you're actually targeting an audience, and you need to engage with them. So if you're targeting that audience and you disappear after 2 years, and you as a business owner cannot get back that audience, no matter what you start now, you've lost that, and you've lost all that work you put into. So it does take time. I think for small businesses, I would give it 3 to 4 years. Yeah. 1 or 2 years is still very immature to see results and everything.
Yeah. Alina is my sounding board, like you on that. So she helps me with she's like, 5 years, we shut the F up and we just do this.
Yeah.
If in 5 years you're still not happy, then we can talk.
Yeah.
But give it time, its natural time to progress. That I just have to work on hitting a few walls to manage my patience there too. So we're going to start wrapping up soon. I have a few more questions before that, and then we'll do a rapid fire round at the end. I want to talk about planning, macro and micro. So maybe we can talk micro first. I just curious about how you plan your day to day. Is it hour by hour, meeting by meeting? Do you wake up in the morning and make a plan for the day? And then we'll talk about longer term macro planning, which goes out into years and stuff.
So for day to day, basically, the first thing I do is I check my emails and I check my messages. When I wake up, I already have a lot of messages and emails. So according to that, then I plan my day. I don't plan it one day before. I have to check those messages and see what appointments I have and who wants to see me, who doesn't want to see me. Do we have any Zoom calls for which company? And then I plan my day according to that.
Okay. It's So like you want to see what fires are out right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And see which fires to deal with.
Which one's really important.
Yeah. And then long term, how do you think about the long term? Again, I think your patience ties into this because I'm seeing the connection now. My lack of patience also makes me not think about 3 years at a time. But I've been struggling to make longer than a 90, 180 day plan for the business. Just because we started around COVID and it's been volatile around since then too, and the industry is changing quite a bit. But how do you think about long-term planning when you and your partner sit down? Do you guys talk about like future visioning a lot?
Yeah. So we talk about a lot of future plans, and we actually write it down. And we put a tentative month towards it, a tentative date that we want to have this plan by this time. Like we give a deadline, and that's how we work towards it.
What would be an example of something that's in your plans, if it's not confidential, obviously?
No, it's fine. I mean, so we had the plan to open up our retail outlet for Edesad. It's gonna be the first retail outlet for us, and to our plan, it was supposed to open up in August, but it's because of the mall that the mall didn't get the permissions and everything. Well, our shop's almost ready, so it's going to be delayed. But we set this plan about 6 months ago. Yeah, so we made sure we got everything done for the outlet, and it's just that it's something beyond our control. Yeah, you know how construction and malls are and stuff here.
Yeah. I can guess which mall it is, but in terms of that, like tentative date that you set for it, and then you work backwards on like what needs to be done,
exactly,
and then divide responsibilities accordingly.
Yeah, we divide responsibilities. Yet when we divide responsibilities, I don't really think we write it there.
It's not like a formal thing.
It's not a formal thing, but we divide responsibilities on a daily basis. So, the morning, you do this, I get this done. You know, you talk to those people, I check the inspection.
Right, as long as it's moving forward, one of you is doing something about it.
Yeah.
And do you have like, that's a daily check-in, but do you have a check-in on like, hey, is this plan still worth pursuing? Or once you've put a date to it, it's like all in. Yeah, you're going all in.
It's all in. No.
But okay, so when these ideas go up on the board, and
what you're saying is kind of true. Yeah. When you say, is this plan still pursuing? Because there are some minor things that could change the plan, and just not about the shop physically, but the actual plan of the shop, right? So that does happen sometimes along the way.
Like just gut checking and sense checking is like, do we still need a retail store?
Yes.
Like, is this the right thing to do?
Yeah, that does happen.
Okay, and probably like I know you guys like stuff probably doesn't go up on the wall until you like sense test it before too, right? So you might think of 10 things, but only 2 things go up on the board with dates.
Yeah.
How do you kill ideas? Like it's one thing to have ideas at 2 a.m. and then talk to your partners, but how do you say to each other like, no, we're not doing this? Or I mean, maybe you come to the conclusion together like, no, this is too much work for too little money. Or like, how do you find that process of like let's not do this?
We assess the idea. We assess the what we could make out of this idea, and we assess the risks as well. And we look as well, if there are better creative ideas than this, why not go do that? So that's what we actually look into. But cutting down an idea and stuff, you know, honestly, I feel like it kind of happens when you're too close to actually implementing it. And then that's what happens, because you keep thinking about it, right? You keep thinking like, okay, I thought about this. What could we do better? Is there anything better? Give it a month, 2 months. Nothing
Let it
better?
marinate.
Yeah. Nothing better? Okay. We're good with this. But sometimes research is key. So we do a lot of research. And then when we finally find something, we're like, shit, okay, I think let's just tweak it a bit, you know?
Or make it our own version. Yeah. Like a unique version of ours. Yeah, we keep coming up with these ideas, but the thing that you're mentioning, like either make it your own, like own flavor of the whole thing. That we in our industry is hard to find too, because like everyone sounds and looks and does the same.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing is having that intention, and I think that's really what I'm learning from you is like just having that intention. Like, can this be with our own flavor?
Yeah.
So what if it's done before?
Yeah.
It's going to be a million things that are done before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also having that time to let the idea interact with the world. Because what happens is an idea in the brain sounds really nice. Then the first conversation, it sounds less nicer. Then you do your research and it sounds less nicer and less nicer. And then you actually talk to a potential customer.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
That's all I'm getting from it?
Because if it's done before, all right, think about it. If it's done before and you want to be the second one to do it, it's still not bad. Because whoever is with that other company, the customers that are purchasing or whatever, dealing with that other company, they will get they'll get a point where that company is gonna be so busy, and it may not cater to those customers how they used to be. Their customer service might go down. The delivery time might get more delayed. So it does happen. You've seen it with a lot of e-commerce platforms.
Yeah.
So being the second one or the third one is not a bad idea, but below third, I think then that's too much.
I think Google was like the 17th search engine at the time that it was coming out.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a story. I don't know if you've heard this from your sales days, but there was an American shoemaking company, fictional, and they sent 2 salespeople down to a third world country somewhere. And they said, go figure out, do some research and tell us if there's a market opportunity there.
Yeah.
So first guy goes, he sees like third world countries, like very sad, upset about it. He's like, okay, you know, I'm going back to the boss and telling him why I don't think it's a good idea. Second guy goes there, sees the same thing, and he's excited.
Yeah.
He's like, wow, this is great. I can't wait to tell the boss.
Yeah.
So first guy gets back
Yeah.
and he sits next to the boss. He's like, boss, nothing's going to happen. We're a shoemaking company. No one was wearing shoes there.
Yeah.
Boss, no thing. The other guy comes in like, boss, great idea, great opportunity. No one is wearing shoes there. So it's like the same product. The mindset is different, right? Like you look at the whole glass half, glass full kind of thing. Like even if someone else is doing before, for me, that's validation. Like there's a market for this. And as you said, like someone's going to slip. At some point, they're going to be dissatisfied. If the company grows too much or too fast, they can't properly have that customer service experience that you did there as well.
I had the same experience, to be honest. Just recently, one of our branches wasn't doing really well, and every time I would speak to the sales guy there, he'd give me that negative vibe. Oh no one's coming, conversions aren't really happening, they're looking for cheaper products. I was like, okay, fine. Got me worried. He had to travel. He went on a vacation. The other one in charge, I told him to handle it now. Every single day. Boss, it's really doing well. Conversions are happening. I went there, I investigated. I'm like, how come the other guy's telling me no and then you're telling me yes? He's like, because the other guy never allowed me to speak to the customers. He told me whenever the customers are here, I'm senior to you, because he was senior in age. He's like, let me handle it. I was like, shit. So these things do happen, you know, and unless, like, you can't really trust one certain individual, even though you gave him a higher authority, you can't really trust that till you actually physically sit there and see. So even for small businesses, and if the business owner has a couple of businesses, he does have to spend some time there physically and see what happens. Putting up cameras doesn't really show you the interaction. It just shows you the customer flow. You'll have to sit there and see what exactly happens.
Absolutely, especially in retail and B2C environments. Like I don't know if people know that work in these jobs that each interaction they have, even a smile when you open the door, is so super important to the whole sale. To the conversion. And you know, we both go to cafes where we don't feel loved. We both go to cafes where as soon as we walk in, we're like, I'm always going to come here now. You know, that's so, and it's, you know, how do you give people that that power, or remind them that they have power over the sale. Because it's not like they get extra commission. Not everyone gets extra commission for being nice and smiley and friendly and everything, right? So you just have to look for the right people for that too, right?
Plus, I feel like you have a 9 to 5, okay? Justify the income that you're getting out of it. Like, do your best. Don't just like, okay, this is my salary and I think I'm gonna get paid like this for the rest of my life. I don't think there is a future for me, so I'll just do whatever it takes to get through with this.
Yeah,
you're wasting your time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that doesn't help anybody at all. Like, going over and above doesn't pay immediately. It never does, and that's why people kind of don't do it. It's like, oh, I've been going over and above for 2 months. Like, wow. 2 months, wow, that's great. Oh, 3 months. No, I've gone over and above for years before I waited for a promotion.
Exactly,
because you actually earn your promotion years before you actually get it. You have to do things for years before you get it. It's a very different mentality now too, with new graduates coming out of school too. The understanding of time. Speaking of time, we are close to end time. I do have a rapid fire round with you, if you're up for it.
I'm scared.
You should be. First question, hardest one. Ice cream or gelato?
Ice cream.
Told you it'd be easy. Well, the second one's actually tougher. Exciting flexibility that leads to volatile results, or boring consistency that leads to sure results?
Exciting.
Yeah, knew it. City life or countryside life?
I'm a bit of both.
Pick one. Gun to your head.
City life.
All right. If you weren't living in Dubai, where would you be?
Manila. Because if I didn't
Brownie
say that,
points.
if I didn't say that, you would kill me.
Okay, favorite Netflix show of all time, not released in 2022.
Not released in 2022? Damn, I forgot that name. I forgot the name of the Netflix show.
Or any TV show, really.
There were two seasons of it. Yeah. How do you know?
Which one? Which one?
What's the name?
I forgot what it was called.
Oh God.
The one with Jessica Biel. It had only 2 seasons.
Okay, we'll come back to that one.
Yeah.
It can't be your favorite if you don't remember the name. That's the rules.
I finished. That was the only show I finished in one day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Binged it?
Yeah.
Okay, we got to find this out, but I'm going to put it out in the show notes when we're after post. The one book you think every business owner should read? You can skip that question if you want.
You see, I'm not more. I like to see the books more in movies, and it's that McDonald's story.
The Founder.
The Founder.
Oh, such a good. I've seen it 3 times.
Man, that's unbelievable. Yeah. So that teaches you a lot.
100%.
Yeah.
The Speedy system.
Yeah.
It's the inspiration for how we do things.
Yeah.
We are a machine. It's like it has to be speedy or it's not.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. If you were to stop being a business owner, what would you be? If you were not a business owner?
If I wasn't a business owner?
If you weren't,
I'd probably be a fight promoter or a boxing coach.
Well, there's still life. Still life part 2 happens. Maybe that's your new life in Manila when you move there.
Maybe.
Man, thanks so much for coming on. This was such a, I love why I do these selfishly, because things that I hear from you are now going to stick with me, because there's serious considerations that came out of here, like just how you look at customer service, the way you assess people and partnerships, the way you do your research before going into things. And, I'm going to steal the lessons you already paid a heavy price to learn. And I'm so glad you were able to openly talk about those as well. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Naeem.
Is there any final message that you want to give to young business owners? By young, I mean someone who's new into the game. What would you say to them? If you had a billboard on Sheikh Zayed Road, and if you could put something on there, what would you say to them?
See, to be honest, I would say to them, but it might take some time. Like, sure. I would say follow your dreams, but follow the more realistic dreams, because people dream a lot, right? And you'll have tons of dreams, and everybody thinks that it's possible. I would say only follow the more realistic dreams.
Amazing. I like that. Follow the most realistic dreams. I think everyone needs to hear that. There's a ton more questions that I do want to ask, but I think we'll have to do a round 2 and we can get into some deeper stories as well, because I have to cut just in the essence of time for the studio as well. But thanks again.
Thank you, Naeem.
I hope this is not the last time we speak. I think another conversations do.
For sure.
All right. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.